Great. Oh, I'm doing. It's been a day.
Yeah.
My birthday and I get a cold.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot. I
Yeah.
totally put that down in my calendar. All right, we need to do something to embarrass you.
Nah, plenty of people have already done that.
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not sure I asked you anything.
I'm sorry you're sick.
No, I think I squished the button.
We've had it. We've definitely had it. And it goes on. It sucks because we've got the baby in daycare.
Oh, it just keeps cycling around, little petri dishes.
She brought stuff, then the mom's working at Smith's, so we're just exposed, and then James is in school, and yeah, it's one petri dish after another.
Yeah.
We're exposed, but I don't know, hopefully it'll build our immune system, and
Yeah, I don't know.
we've gotten through it.
I'm 52 now. I don't think I have one left.
I'm 49. I'm almost 50. I'm getting there. I went to the doctor today because I thought I had tennis elbow, and I said, but I haven't been playing tennis. I was just joking with him, but my arm's been hurting for like a week, and it's just part of getting older. He's like, he called it golf elbow.
Elbow.
I can't golf now. Great. That's great. There's a Rotary Club every year in July. They do this little fundraiser in the golf course, which is kind of fun. But I guess I could just go embarrass myself. If I volunteer, I just won't be able to golf. So you moved in here now officially? Like
I'm still in the process of moving. He's got to spray some stuff on the ceiling that prevents leaks.
Oh.
And they're having a hard time getting the product.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a renter over there until August. So he's like, just keep your stuff over there.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Is it a cost yet? No?
Yeah.
That's good. Did you find anything out about insurance?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
All
that.
right, cool. I just know we're getting close to the deadline, and I mean, I just didn't know if anybody else was doing anything. Worst comes to worst, we can just renew the policy that's in place. But when I went and tried to get State Farm to give me a quote, they said that different companies have different policies, but the new thing is that they're looking at roofs. And I don't know, you were there, so you know how it all happened with the roofing. I know people had to pay for it themselves. It's an odd situation. Every HOA that I've ever seen
Is different.
is all different. Some of them, but I kept looking at it, and some of the other CCNRs that they will say, and the roof. And this one is not.
We're going to talk about it in the meeting. I want to have that all on the
Yeah.
recording and have a discussion about it. Why is that?
Let's look at your agenda.
It's saying,
Hey, you got a big payment for me, but all my HOA dues are paid for like 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We didn't talk about it and I just wanted to clarify that.
did you get an invoice this month?
I never get any invoices.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe I do and I just don't look in my email box, but
You're supposed to get one the first of every month unless you're prepaid.
all my stuff's prepaid. But I
Yeah.
don't get an invoice.
So when people prepay, I generate a different invoice for that prepayment. And then go into the recurring repayments to the recurring invoices and set their next invoice date for when their prepayment has ended.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
I haven't been in there for a little while. I need to get back in there and just look. I don't want to screw anything up. It seems like every time I go in there, I do the wrong thing.
Well, as long as you're not generating anything, it should be fine. You can look all you want.
I need to print and generate a copy of the invoice for Pete,
Pete,
because he wants us to mail it to him.
yeah, you can just go in there under the invoices tab and pull up his invoice and hit print.
My printer broke, so that's what I was gonna do, and then I emailed it to her.
Or I can do that too.
Yeah,
I've gone and bought
Just-
postage and,
that's what he wants.
well, he can also set it up to, now that we have payment with waves, he can actually set it up to auto generate.
Okay,
So that
well,
capability
he'll
is now there.
generate, but he doesn't get email.
Well, it just automatically, so he puts in a credit card and it just auto charges. it.
Yeah, he's not gonna do
Yeah,
that.
Stacy might do it for me.
Mike, I don't know, I think he likes writing checks.
Yeah, he
That's
does, and
okay.
he's gotten good about actually putting the right name on the checks. And I just checked the mail and I had a check from Roy Peterson.
All right, yeah.
Which is good because the last time it was forwarded from Debbie, there was a post-it note on it. It says, please notify.
Yeah, I told him at the last meeting.
Yeah, well, she
texted
said
him.
she was no longer going to forward them. So it was good that
No,
we've
no,
gotten
no,
that sorted out.
no, that's okay.
Yeah,
And,
she's got to rip off everybody in town. It's funny, every time I drop her name, oh, she's a crook. That's the first thing out of everybody's mouth when I,
if I hear it, I hear from. They don't have, nobody says anything. They're like, well, we got out of that race. We got out of there. They just don't like.
this is
treated
from,
them
well,
like
this is from people who have hired her to manage their properties. This isn't from renters. This is from owners.
that. Yeah.
That I'm hearing
Well,
this.
property managers, that I told her when she took over, I hope you have a good insurance policy, because I already saw some things that weren't right. But I don't know everything. I
Yeah,
mean, I've seen a lot in the real estate industry, but I don't know everything. And every one of these places, that guy that came in here, that Daryl guy, I probably should have given you the heads up. He did call me a couple of days prior about the insurance stuff.
he had left me a message, but it was garbled. And
Yeah,
so I don't know if he had a
was
bad
busy.
signal when he was doing it, but I got pieces of it. I'm going,
Well, I know he owns 4 homes that have HOAs, but that's not that big of a deal. Many people have HOAs.
yeah, but
And
I,
most people who boast like that have a lot more than 4.
well, in researching what he said, he was absolutely dead right.
It was- But I.
So,
Meeting, but I couldn't. I couldn't get, I wouldn't be able to bring in the law, right? I don't know which law it is and all that stuff. I just know what kind of is done and what's right and what's not, but it just sounded like there's HOAs that try to put restrictions on homeowners and there's certain things they can't do. They do it and then they get
And
away
then-
with it for a while until somebody complains about it and then there's lawsuit and all
yeah,
that.
they get sued.
Shit happens all the time.
That's fine.
That's why there's more paperwork in the big cities than there are. Here, there's like real estate transactions, there's less paperwork.
Well, we're also an HOA of 24 units. It's not like we're
No.
500,000 units, you know, so it's, which is why I don't think we need a property management company. And my mom, I had lunch with my mom today and
I love
she's
her.
like, well, they're paying you, right? I went, no, they're not paying me.
I
That
love
was the whole
her.
point of this was that,
She's so smart, and the whole idea was so we can save money, and
yeah,
I don't wanna get, money for stuff that's easy to do.
no, I spend probably 5 to 7 hours a month And why would you be paying anybody for that?
Yeah, well, if you didn't spend the time. And we didn't put forth effort with this, we would have a management company in place, because nobody else wants to do it.
Yeah.
And they are ripping us off, which is why we have so little in reserves. And then we can't fix the place up and then we're gonna have to increase the dues and all this other stuff. So we just
Well,
write it out.
that's kind of shameful in my mind that people aren't willing to step up and.
I agree, but we're here, so the other people, the one thing I will say about the homeowners that I have talked to in there, whether they're renting or not, they're educated, and a lot of them owned for a long time. And I think there's been some turmoil, and actually the property's kind of run down in some ways, and they're probably
So-
like, we don't care anymore. And they don't
Well,
wanna fight.
especially I think for those who are renting their units.
Yeah. They don't, well,
I don't think they care.
mentality of a homeowner who's not owning and living in it.
Yeah.
Is different.
Which is why I'm glad that we have 100% on the board of owners who are
I
residents.
think that's a smart move. I do.
I mean, I don't think that it always needs to be that way,
Well, right now.
but in
what we're
September, I'm
trying to
gonna propose that we change the
reorganize.
CCNRs
I think it needs an update.
to do at least 2 out of 3.
Well, there
A
needs,
majority of,
Yes.
yeah,
that's okay, but you do need people who have some knowledge about where they live or
Yeah.
what they're in no one else is gonna care. They're not.
no,
Unless
they can't rent it because it's so run down,
yeah,
but
and that can happen, but they're also the homeowner of their unit and they can fix it up. The HOA really doesn't take on a lot of liability for these units in the CCNRs. So there's different
you know,
CCNRs.
it's pretty much just the
different-
common areas in the front yards.
Yeah,
Is Jen back?
I don't know. I haven't seen her truck she's got her,
I saw her trailer with her,
that's
Side
been
by
in her
side,
driveway. You want me to check and see if
yeah,
she knew, cause when we were texting, she says it's tomorrow, right? Or this Wednesday, right? So I think she knows.
nobody on the Zoom. As
Yeah.
usual.
Chase said he was coming. People have been telling me, hey, we've been seeing somebody water his yard, and I go. Maybe it's one of his tenants, cause they're trying to help, but they don't know what the
Are they
plan is.
manually watering or are they
Well,
using
yesterday
sprinklers?
he was out there and it was him, and I go, hey, I thought maybe it was one of the tenants. I'm like, we told him not to water because you're gonna be re-landscaping. And he goes, oh, I'm coming to the meeting tomorrow and talk
Sweet.
about that, and so.
Good deal.
Yeah, it's all good. I just don't know what he wants, so I didn't get into it.
I'm always open for people to show up at the meeting. I wish they would all do that.
Well, he's got some responsibilities that are weighing on the rest of the HOA. And I think he needs to either be a part of it or there needs to be a change, I guess. I don't know. Because if it's affecting our insurance policy, the gal told me how much. I have my homeowner's insurance too, because you guys asked me last time, what was covered and all that other stuff. But this is State Farm. And my deductible is like $500.
State Farm is horrendous for not paying.
I know where he lives at.
Well, it's not up to him.
He's
It's up
part
to,
of,
it's
he
up
will
to
make
State
it
Farm.
right. Him and his wife will make it right, because this is in his family. And they're part of the Rotary Club and they're my friends, and they will make it right.
I mean, I'm great friends with Roger Alcott, who's a State Farm dealer. And
Okay,
he tells me that they're horrible about not paying, about denying payments. Hello, holy smokes, when I said cookies, I didn't mean that.
Well, it's also your birthday, so
It is.
where would you
Well,
like
thank
your?
you. I don't know. I don't have a place anymore.
I'm
still in the
so
middle
glad
of
you
moving.
brought it to me. made a banana bread, but it wasn't pulled off before I left. So it'll just fall apart if I cut it, you know?
But
I'll make sure you get a piece of it when you feel better.
they're
Are you
They
sick?
still haven't, I've got a
Yeah.
little bit of a sore throat and sniffles. I don't, and it could be allergies, I don't know, but they still haven't been able to get the stuff to spray the roof here. So I haven't been able to move all my stuff over from the other. He doesn't have a renter in there until August, so he's hoping he can get the product. All right, let's call this meeting to order. All righty. So before you have the monthly financial report. Our aged receivables, we have. Ashley Tippett still owes us $1.68. It's been 91 days. Chase is behind for 300. Jennifer,
I just got my debit card back.
Oh,
Literally on
oh.
my way here.
you
I left it at
lost
my
it or?
friend's house.
Oh,
I wish you found it.
Margene Allen is prepaid and I actually just got next month's check from her, so she'll be 2 months ahead. That was in tonight's mail. The Bowers still owe that late fee. I'm going to suggest that we start charging interest on it. That we can legally do.
I spoke to you about that.
He did last meeting. I texted him last meeting about it. And
He said, I wasn't aware that we were doing this. And I've always sent my payment somehow. And
Well, you
he
don't
said
get a
reach
late
out to
fee
you.
until you're 60 days
Okay.
over. So that's
I don't
why.
remember if he did talk to Cynthia about, but he said, I talked to her, she was gonna,
I'm gonna look up the text because I didn't raise it.
The
See what he has to
Wachowskis
do.
are prepaid for this month.
Richard.
Scott is behind. And Hampton and Bills are behind.
Or who else is behind you, Scott?
Scott,
Let's see.
the Bills, and Hampton, Trevor, and Weston.
Bills, okay, I can take care of all of them. I just texted them and then okay. And that's it? Bills and Scott
and me.
And Chase.
and Chase.
But
I
I
got
will
you.
have mine paid by the end of the night.
But who did you say before Scott that was like paid or ahead or whatever?
Oh, Ronald and Julie Wachowski are ahead. They're paid ahead.
How far ahead?
And then Roy Peterson now, because I just picked that check up. So
Okay.
um, we
Okay.
currently have $35,774 in our total cash and long-term assets. Same for equity. Our P&L, we had an expensive month, a very, very expensive month. We got the fence done, we got all the demo done, we got the sidewalk demoed. So you were not here. So we had a quick vote, just the two of us. The
1900.
guy who was doing the fence and doing the demo of the wall, he gave us a bid to do the curbing, replace the sidewalk, and he also has a job across the street. So you can get a whole dump load without any late fees.
Okay.
So for $1,900, he's gonna take care of all of that.
So, and if you've already voted, that's fine.
Yeah.
They misquoted him on the full load,
Uh-huh.
and so he texted and said that he had gone down there to do a job and talk to him. And would do all of that curb, I think it was 800.
Yeah, is he gonna do the sidewalk? I already had the guy do the demo on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Cause he was doing it all at once. He was there tearing the wall out and had the tractor, the trailer there and the loader. And so it was just, that was a good price for all of that at once. And hopefully that guy's coming this week. He said he should be here this week.
Okay.
He's got another job he's finishing up, but once that's done, so it'll be either, I know there's only 2 days left in the week, but it'll either be this week or next week. And that's only reflected half because we did a half upfront payment in April. And then the completed payment was in May.
Okay.
And then the 1,900 hasn't been paid yet. So. But that's why we spent more than we took in this month. That's
So
pretty much,
with Richard Bauer, when I talked to him, at our last meeting, I had asked him about, he knows about the $30. I said, yes, they're late fees. And he said, we'd take care of them, no big deal. Thank you. He thought the payments were coming out on auto pay because he had fallen behind a little bit. And so that's when I talked to him, and then he goes, and then there's these $30 fees, where those are late fees. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm kind of thinking, I do know that with late fees and interest and things like that, is the law as far as around.
well, we can
credit cards.
definitely charge interest
We-
on late
we
fees.
Did that in months ago to start charging late fees. That was all in the minute notes. So if people aren't paying attention, I mean, it was disclosed.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say, but I mean, there might be a time where we give them one-time forgiveness, but if they continue to do it, because we're not even charging a late fee till they're 6 months behind, right?
Right, no,
Or
6
two,
weeks,
two,
2 months.
60 days.
Howdy, oh,
So,
hello, grab me a chair.
thank you. One of those cookies over in Miss Sister, maybe.
Yeah, we use.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And that brought me cookies for E on her truck. Right, place is a little messy, I'm still in the middle of transitioning over.
Oh,
All right.
okay, so is this your wife? Hi, I'm Cynthia. Me too. I'm Jennifer. I'm Ty.
So anyway, the late fees were initiated because of the extra work that it creates when people don't. But I didn't want to just hit somebody if they're 5 days over.
Right,
It's gotta be 2 months,
right,
so,
right, so it was fine, and it was disclosed.
Yeah.
And it was communicated, so.
it was, yeah.
But, I mean, with, I guess, the way that it is with things being mixed up with people sending payments wrong, and we also disclose all that too, every month we're meeting. And so this is in
Yeah.
every meeting.
Yeah, this isn't like we're meeting every 6 months like it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we're doing this every month, so, okay. So that's the financial report. As far as completed projects, as again, we got the wall torn down in number 5, we got the fence put up there. Debbie was unhappy at first with the idea of the fence, but once she saw it, she was very happy with it. So she let the guys, or Diane, I'm sorry.
Thank you, okay, I
Diane.
just wanted to make sure that's.
She communicated to the guys who built the fence, how happy she was with it. She communicated to Steve how happy she was with it, so they're happy. The only thing is, when they took the wall down, they had planned to leave one course of bricks as a water diversion. And it was broken so badly that wasn't possible. So they're coming back. When they come to do the rest of the cement work, they're going to use some of that cement to create that water diversion at no additional charge to the original quote for that.
Do we
So
know when they're gonna come back?
this week sometime or next week, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. We now have the capability to pay through the Wave app that we use for our accounting. That took like 20 hours to,
I'm
it
so
took
sorry.
months. It took
This-
months.
It's me.
Apparently what was happening is when I finally got somebody on online chat, they forwarded me all the times that their security department had sent me an email. But I have learned that Gmail, well, I've learned that Gmail, there are certain things in their algorithm and they will make emails vanish. They don't go to spam, they vanish. So if there are certain attachments or certain subject lines or whatever. But once I got the chat person, she was able to forward me the email. All they wanted was our 501c4. And
Which we finally got, but when I was trying to communicate with them, we hadn't had that yet. And
Yeah.
they wanted us to classify what type of nonprofit we were. And I couldn't do it because I didn't have it yet, so.
well, once we got that to them, within
That's great.
15 minutes, we had that. So now we can do the auto pay feature. So people can set up auto debit out of their accounts or a credit card.
Associated with that,
What's that?
there's still a fee associated.
Yeah, everything, any kind of credit card processing is gonna have some sort of fee. So we're gonna keep it at the $4 right now. Until we actually see what that is. It's a similar percentage and per transaction fee. So it's gonna be in that ballpark. It may be 1 or 2 cents difference. So people may get a 14-cent credit instead of a 16-cent credit with that $4. Incomplete projects, the curbing and the sidewalk. The guys who did the fence demo and construction quoted us $1,900 additional to tear up that sidewalk that was all cattywampus and pour the curb and pour the new sidewalk. And they have a job across the street, so they were able to get rid of that short load fee and all that. So that was a good price for all of that together. And they're gonna do that water diversion on the fence. So they should be here this week or next week. And I think that is it for my report. Vice President.
I spoke with Jason Ashworth. And he said if we wanted to walk around with him and give him a punch list and say, we want this done first, you know, like as we're talking about changing to all rock.
Right.
We want, you know, he said, I can see that there's a couple, trees, the elm trees. that you
Not
can-
anymore.
Yeah,
I
he said,
cut
"You
them
want
down
one?"
myself.
Oh, did ya?
Yep.
Okay. I told him,
I brought the chainsaw. I had to cut some stuff in my backyard, so I just brought the chainsaw and cut them down and put them in the dumpster. And somebody had their trailer parked in front of the dumpster and I couldn't back my truck up there, so I had to haul them all by hand.
oh, that was me.
That was you.
I came in really late.
I was trying to throw them in the back of my truck and back the truck up there and I couldn't, so. I just, it ended up, they,
Another dumpster.
well, that one I filled up with the other tree.
Saw
So,
that.
but it ended up, they slid pretty easy on the concrete. I was able to stack it all up in 2 trips and it wasn't that big a deal.
Thanks for doing that. I did, I'm the one who actually mentioned it to him about the elms. Cause we've had a lot of problems with those.
They
with those-
pop up and they grow fast. They'll get up into your roof.
Yeah.
They'll get up into your windows. They grow. I mean, that was just this year, just this spring, they had gotten that big.
Yeah.
And you go look at that one up on top and there's like 5 stumps in that
Did
yard.
you take the other ones out too that I
Yeah.
told him about? Thank you. That was
So
great.
those
I
are
was
all-
so worried about just telling him that and then not getting, I didn't want to cost more money.
Yeah, no, it was easy to
It's
do.
really nice. He'll do anything, but you know, he's not gonna do it for free.
No,
So,
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
but you did it for free. So thank you.
He would have done it just as part of his, as.
What do you-
maintenance.
I
Part of the
didn't know.
normal landscaping. No.
I didn't want to create more.
Anyway.
I didn't either.
so He said, walk around and give a punch list of everything that you're wanting. We can make a list of it, say, let's do this and this, just do it as needed or as.
Did he
much
give you a
bill.
quote on pulling up the grass?
He
and
said,
pulling out the
"Let's go through
sprinklers?"
it. Like, do you want just rocks? Do you want rocks? The rocks with some bigger rocks? Do you want, you know, he just said, let's walk.
Well, he's not
together
gonna do
through
the
it.
rock, is he?
Yeah, he would do the rock.
He would do the rock?
Yeah.
Oh, I was getting Rocky Ridge to
I
come up
talked to
with it.
Rocky Ridge and they said, come by, we'll give you a quote, especially when you know how much you want.
I
'cause
don't know, that's why
if
we
you
need
get
them,
one
because I don't
scoop-
know what a yard covers.
once it's gonna be a different price than if you get a dump bed.
Right,
So it would be good to make the punch list with Jason and say, okay, let's price out a full dump truck or whatever, and that's gonna cover this, this and this. Or, you know, he'll tell us how much we need, cause I don't know how much either.
yeah, I have no idea.
And we can go through and look and see, do it bits and pieces at a time, what we can afford, you know.
We're still averaging around $1,000 per month just for the lawns. So it's, for watering lawns, it's just ridiculous, it's stupid.
Yeah, well,
Um,
mm,
Do you know how much you're paying, Jason? Cause I heard 1,000, but then I saw on here it was 1,290 and then.
so part of that was we had way heavier than anticipated snows.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
Well, that was
so-
that. I saw something on there for snow, but then I saw something just for landscaping itself.
Just for landscape.
From
Um,
last month, so, cause I talked to him,
yeah, there were
This week.
2, we paid him $575 last month. And we paid him the 20 something.
There was a check that got lost in the mail and we
Yeah.
had to pay him it again. We didn't, it didn't come out,
Right,
but it ended up being.
but it
an
was on the
expense
balance sheet because,
later.
but, cause when I talked to him, I was just asking him what he was doing. And he just said, as of right now, I'm just doing lawns and spraying for weeds.
Yeah.
And he said that's what he was basically doing. I was assuming that was for the $1,000 a month.
And part of the lawns is he was doing like, if we had a sprinkler head that was
Yeah.
broken or something, he was
It's the
replacing that.
basic fee per month, it's based on what he does.
What he
So
does.
he's got, when he gave us a
We got a
proposal,
menu.
it was a menu. And he said, for, spraying, for fertilizing, for this, so whatever we wanted.
And then there
If
was
we
snow
wanted,
removal.
not, if we wanted them just basic, like, only mow the lawns, then it would be less money, so.
There's
And
separate
one
charges
month may
for
differ
shoveling
from
the
another
sidewalk,
month
even
based on what we
$75
have.
extra, I think, if we want the sidewalk shoveled. We don't have to, but, it's just. But it was nice, we finally got that, it took a little while,
I was just curious because
you mean, to get what,
I
I
like to
could,
look at the budgets and see.
the
consistency
copy of
in
it.
I'm
Oh, no,
sure.
we've had it the whole time.
I was curious.
I know, but I didn't see it, cause when we voted to have him do the landscaping, you had it, but. when
I have the menu here somewhere.
Yeah,
I
so I
have to
know we
pull it
have
out. I can show it to you later.
Yeah, it's a menu of services based on what we have him do. And so there's prices for different services that we perform. So like if he comes and aerates the park, there's a different fee for that. If he overhauls the sprinkler system, when he turns all the sprinkler systems on and does all that maintenance, there's a price for that. But we went way over on our snow removal. We had 250% of total snowpack this year, which we got lucky. Because if it had all melted at once, if we'd had a whole heat wave come in, this whole valley would have flooded. We were out there with search and rescue, filling sandbags, preparing for that. So we didn't have a Enoch 3.0.
Yeah.
They were out there in
You see
the,
Ogden's streets up in Ogden Canyon.
oh yeah, they had to put all the sandbags, their houses washing. Did you see that garage that covered the cars? That was some of the clearest water I have ever seen. It was like drinking water out of the bubbler over there. It was crazy. Yep. Yeah. So we got, God loves us. He took good care of us. So if Jason is willing to do that, is he willing to get the quote from Rocky Ridge on the stone and just bring us some samples of stone and we go, yeah, that one, or?
Yeah, and I could go down there and take pictures too and say, kind of get an idea from them.
I mean, as I've said
Give them
before,
the
I
best,
don't anticipate us doing that until after the September meeting, because I want all the members to have input on doing that. There may be some people who have very strong feelings about having the lawns over there. So I think that the full membership should be involved in that discussion. But I think it's not a hard sell once we have the numbers and show them what the overall savings would be and how we approach our asphalt goal faster. Because we are paying an ungodly amount for water. It's just stupid. It's utterly stupid, and we do not qualify. We're not a big enough HOA.
Well, in the
So we
meantime,
do not
can
qualify
still
for the special rate.
A punch list of things that.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. If you guys want to start gathering up, because we still need to get I think it's warm enough now. We can get that stucco on the one unit that's
Okay.
peeling away. We can get that taken care of. Is your guy still?
There's a couple. But there's just a couple, and it's like right at their front door.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's right on the street. I don't know. I look at things differently. From real estate perspective, I like the way it looks, but you know
well,
what?
can your guy still take care of that?
Stress
I would
out
assume
about
so.
this
Okay,
complex.
can you reach out to him and see what that will involve? And I don't know that we need to have another meeting if it's under, $500. Let's just get it done.
Are you talking about the concrete and pavement?
No, I'm just talking about the stucco
The stucco,
and painting.
it needs to be. Well, I have his number too. Let me know if you need any help with him. He is
Well,
amazing.
that's in Jen's department.
Yeah, I thought it's good.
His
She
number.
leaves town all the time.
What's that?
I used to leave town all the time, so let me know if you need anything.
I'm gone on Friday night through Sunday night.
You know where to get
wild
to that.
And this is the last weekend. We'll start to be up here every weekend.
Wild partier.
Hanging out with my husband, weird.
You got anything else on yours?
Just I was gonna tell you about the short load fee
Yeah,
and and then the rocks. So I'll walk through with Jason. And if anybody wants to give any input of things. that
Yeah,
they'd like
I'd
to
say
see,
get
I
him,
can
get a
come in.
bid for the sidewalk from him and the water diversion, but I've already gone ahead with them and they've already done the demo on the sidewalk.
I think there's other water diversion that we could, the curb that's right there by, I noticed Tammy Nay's unit, that very first one.
Yeah,
We were looking at it once, when he was there, about raising that curb that is just non-existent, and so it lets all of the water right underneath the parking lot. But that's something I can talk to Jason about and we can address.
okay. Well, let me know about that because maybe we can get those guys to do something while they're here already.
Okay.
But we need to know ASAP because they're gonna be here this week or next.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that, so. All right, Secretary Treasurer's report.
You've already pretty much said the numbers, so we're good. And
Okay.
who's ahead and who's behind.
Okay, going on to old business, the curb and asphalt on the south end of the T, we already talked about that. If they do come here this week or next week and get that curb repoured, when can we get the asphalt patched?
I've just gotta have it done so that we can.
Can you ask them to come out and quote that at least, so we have an accurate
Yeah.
quote?
In writing.
Unlike last time?
We don't wanna go rehash this. Somebody was a little worried about it being done
And
immediately.
It's a
and
Yeah.
so
good thing we did it too, cause 2 days later we ended up with snow and then
If
look at the
somebody
season
doesn't
we
get a
got,
chance to
so
look at it, then they
it is what it is.
have to
Yeah.
quote it by what information they're given. so.
Yeah, that's fine, I
That's
just,
negligence is them giving us too high of a price.
right,
No, but we've learned our lesson, so
Right.
now we need to ask.
Right, no, I agree.
Yeah, they got us, right? And so now. we
that
need-
brings us to Mr. Chase, stone in front of your units. You said you were gonna have that done by June 1st, which is in 6 days,
So I'm no longer gonna do that.
okay?
So it's gonna cost me way too much and it's not really my obligation to do it. So
Okay,
as far as now, I'm not gonna. do it.
so then we need to talk about water usage and how we rectify the additional water usage of your
So
extra tenants.
that's not my obligation as well. So that's the HOA's obligation to pay the water. So as far as that's concerned. There's nothing I'm gonna do about my tenants using water. I mean, that's part of their. And part of the property, we can use the water in an HOA, so
Yeah, but you're using more than the average used by all of the other units.
there's no proof of that though.
Well, then we can, as a board, make a decision to put a meter on your unit and bill you for that.
Well, you could do that, but then you have to do it for all the tenants in there.
I'm not opposed to that, actually. Other than the upfront cost, I'm not.
$30,000
opposed to
per
that.
person, I believe, is what the city quoted us when they.
It wouldn't be that per unit because you wouldn't have to go from on the street. You pay a water meter.
Going
It's
into
already-
each,
Before, we even got this board together, I talked to Garth Green, cause we had water lines breaking, right? And he goes, you mean you don't have individual,
No.
So-
HOA has individual water meters. That's part of the.
but a lot of HOAs don't cover the water.
Yeah, every single one of them do, it's
Yeah.
Utah law.
Okay, well, it isn't
To be a
normal
PUD
for
in the state of
everything.
Utah, they have to have one inlet of water and it's metered one by one thing.
yeah,
That's
because
part
the
of-
city doesn't want to come and do that
That's
for.
part of being a PUD, so
every
if we changed it, we would no longer be a PUD and we would no longer have an HOA. So,
Okay.
and that's a definite option,
So
but
that's something about Utah that I didn't know. But I do know that there's a lot of HOAs that don't cover water, so.
none in Cedar that I know of or St. George.
Yeah, the city's pretty strict about what they will and will not. I mean, if you've ever been to city council meetings, you've heard those discussions and
we've been there
you know how
before.
strict they are. So I have a conundrum because we agreed in good faith on something that we all felt was a fair.
Well, I felt like I was being pushed into that. You
Okay.
were saying, we're gonna do.
Well, you volunteered that.
Well, because you were saying, we're gonna make you pay an extra fee regardless. And so that was my option. And looking into it, it's not an option for me.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here today to explain that. And
That doesn't leave us good options.
didn't leave me any good options either, unfortunately. And to be honest, what it takes to water my front lawn is gonna save the HOA maybe $30 a month.
Yeah, but that doesn't change what it tastes, what the additional usage of. So when that was a nursing home. You had multiple residents, but they weren't showering every day.
Yes,
They,
they were being showered every day. It had to be as part of being a nursing home,
well, a lot of them get sponge baths.
but they had to be showered every day.
They weren't cooking and washing dishes and doing laundry and.
They cooked for every single person in there. So they were doing the same amount of laundry, actually probably more laundry. They were doing the same amount of dishes because they had to cook for every person in there, and they were full. That's why they built a new place and sold this.
How many people do you have in there?
20. But that's how many they had in there previously.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying that what was going on previously was fair to everyone either. So the average we figured out is what, 2.5 per unit? And so,
We figured 2.5 people per unit. But that's the thing too, when we.
not including yours.
Right. My property, I go underneath the property once a month, make sure there's no leaking of toilets, sinks, and make sure we're not wasting water. And making sure that there's no potential harm. We can't say the same thing about everybody in there.
No,
If there's
but
a leaky
every
sill-
unit's occupied.
Right, but if there's a leaky sill in a toilet, why would they care?
Well, if they're an owner, they would,
Why? It doesn't cost them any difference.
because they're getting water all over their floor.
No, leaky sill, so that just means your toilet's just constantly.
Oh,
running,
the
right?
tank seal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that, they would care
if
less.
it was running.
And it would just waste water that way. I'm making sure that doesn't happen monthly,
Let's say, yeah.
so.
Well, I think as an owner, you do care. Because I've had leaky toilets and I fix them immediately.
Yeah,
My
I fix them
neighbors have
myself.
mentioned that on both
The
sides
majority in there are
in
tenants.
Tom's units, and I have fixed both of Tom's
He
units.
has a lot of toilets and.
How many
And-
toilets do you have? Oh, geez.
So
That's why
if
he's
you're
checking.
an owner and you look at, if you pay attention at all to the reports and it only, the more water goes up, our fees are gonna go up. I care if our fees go
I
up.
agree, 100%. And I think our fees should go up. I think our HOA is considerably low for how few people we have and how much we need to spend. But that being said, as a homeowner, I'm willing to pay the increase in HOAs if everybody is. I'm not willing to pay it on my own. Because that's not my obligation due to the bylaws and the CCNRs, so, and the state of Utah HOA code. So, I mean, I bought in this property with Cynthia telling me, this is what you have, this is what you pay in HOA. It's grandfathered in. That was one of the reasons that was a good purchase on my side. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't have been. And so that's where I'm at, and that's why I'm not willing to pay more than I should and more than it's ever been. And that should make sense to all you guys as well.
It makes sense. It doesn't mean it's fair.
Well,
And
but that's not fair, Dan, right?
well, my goal is to be as fair as I possibly can.
Well, and I'm willing to be fair, but I'm already paying, and this is the other thing, I'm paying 2 shares.
Correct.
The CCNRs and the bylaws say per lot, I've only got 1 lot. So technically I should only be paying 1 share.
If you go to the city, you have to,
No, I don't, it's 1 lot,
because when they
Actually,
were
I think it'd be the
looking,
county, wouldn't it?
They were only able to find
1 lot,
and
exactly.
it's the building behind.
The plat
the first
says there's 1
They
lot
don't
on
even
my,
exist.
So the address actually used to be this, it got changed during that transaction.
so it's still in 1 address, so 1 lot.
Yeah,
I don't have a back address.
he has a separate.
So
address.
That's the only one that the city had.
Technically-
It wasn't, they don't have
According to
it.
the bylaws and.
Well, but a lot of the
CCNRs,
units have separate addresses because all the ones on the west side.
Need to be updated. because
Well,
they're
and we're gonna
not-
look at doing that in September.
But the nice thing is I think it's fair that I pay 2 shares. I have 2 buildings, I should pay 2 shares. That I think is fair. But I could fight that I only have to pay 1, and I'm not, I don't. think that's
And we
fair.
could fight that we would not allow
Well,
rentals of that nature in the CCNRs when we update them. So, I mean, there's lots of not good options.
Right.
I thought we had settled on a fair, equitable, good
Well,
option.
But that's the thing is it doesn't change the water bill that much. It's gonna change it $30 to $40 a month, really, that's it. It's not gonna change it hundreds of dollars a month.
Well, it may happen whether you pay for it or not. Because then we'll have to add that into,
Everybody.
since we're responsible for the front yards, we will do it.
And that's totally up to you guys. I'm just saying, I looked at the numbers and doesn't make sense for me to do it.
It was your idea to do it, though, just keep that in mind.
Well, we had talked about it even before you
Yeah.
guys were on the board, we talked about changing everything to rock.
Yeah.
That's not a
Yeah.
problem.
And we're still talking about that
Yeah.
because but I want
And
all the members to have buy-in on that decision.
But see, this is the thing too, that we're having, I think a lot of homeowners are having struggles with. An HOA is supposed to be unified.
Mhm.
Well, you just put a wood fence up where a block wall was supposed to be.
You're right.
We can't do one lawn gravel and another one lawn.
Well, the problem is we have that already.
Right, but we shouldn't. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't
But
be
these
that
are,
way.
these are based on decisions that have been made years and years ago. The fence was based on a decision that was made 5 years ago to not fix the problem that was a dangerous problem.
Well, if that wasn't true, because I talked to the guys that took the wall down and they said that wall wasn't coming down.
Yeah,
at
one
all.
piece of it did.
One block.
No, one,
He said they couldn't get the wall down at all with sledgehammers. They had to start cutting it down.
yeah, there was one, I was there when he did it.
So
there
I
was
was there right after they. finished
One
the top.
section that totally just
So
came down.
this place
There
was built right, and the walls, you guys can verify this, but my understanding is that the walls have just fallen down because they weren't put up right in the first place. They
I mean,
didn't-
they're reinforced.
they
They've
had
got
to rebuild those
cement in
walls
them and
on
they've
the-
got
So I
rebar
don't
inside
know
of them.
about that particular- But the one up the hill with all the next, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So
That have the
wall
chain
that's
link
on that
fences.
whole thing fell down, I guess, right after they put it up, because the people who put it up didn't use the right material. They put sand in there instead of mortar. I mean,
I don't know any about that. I know that they've got chain link
By
fences.
car.
You and they have vinyl fences. We've got concrete walls.
fence put in, did you pay for it?
It
Because,
was there when I built.
so unit number 13 told me that they paid for their vinyl fence. Their back, and it's a backyard. So-
I can't speak to anything that happened prior to September of
No.
2022.
Yeah.
And we're making the best that we can. The insurance company for that damage declared that the damage was worth $4,000. We had $1,000 deductible.
So it's $5,000, right?
It was
No, it
four.
was $4,000 with $1,000
So they
deductible.
only claimed.
They only gave us 3,000. That was 5 year ago pricing before the building boom and the supply shortage and everything else. We were looking at 9,000 to 14,000 to replace that wall. So again, we tried to find an answer that was equitable and fair. Since both of those owners had been on the board previously, and since the decision had been made not to fix it for 5 years, we gave them the option of, we would pay them $7,000, which was the quote we had to replace it with a fence, and they could pay the additional fee. Or we could build the fence for $7,000. And they opted
And we
to go
even
with the
offered
fence
So what
to
fence costs
carry it.
$7,000? Wow.
to do all the demo. And yeah, it was $7,800.
It's in all of the notes, so.
So-
Look at it.
Yeah, there was a quote for 5,600, but they didn't include anything for water diversion. So if they were just gonna come, cut it all down, build a fence, and all that water was gonna run in their
They
backyard.
didn't replace the footings either.
No, they left them.
Well,
Yeah, they
but
wanted
I thought
that.
that was part of the issue, was the footings.
Well, the footings are not stable enough to hold the weight of that wall. But they are stable enough to act as water diversion. So our goal
They
was,
bolted the new fence right to those footings.
yes. Yeah, it's stable enough to hold the fence.
Well, it's a wooden fence. I mean,
Yeah. The problem is we did not want their backyard flooding. And part of that, the issue of getting rid of the flooding is if we pull up all the sprinklers on that lawn. But we also need to start looking at that tree.
I know, I knew you were going
Jason
there.
talked about removing the tree, he could do it as well.
He can do that?
He said,
Lee is.
I would-
out
I-
here, so-
I'd like to get quotes on that,
Yes.
because
we should.
that root system is ripping that parking lot up. And I'm afraid it's gonna hit the pipes. It's moving toward those rectangular patches, and I'm afraid it's gonna hit the pipes. All right, before we move on, we need to come to some sort of solution on this issue. Well, I see we have Jason look at adding that front yard into the,
Landscaping.
into the stone. So grass removal, sprinkler removal, and
His
stone.
yard, so add it to the bid.
And I would say based on the fact that it would probably require a change to the CCNRs. That we add that to the proposal of the CCNRs come September annual meeting, to. If we've got 2.5 average per unit. That is 8, we'd have 8 shares.
I get 8 votes, so I don't care.
Right, there you go.
We got 2 units up for sale. Are you interested in buying a couple more?
Are there 2 up for sale?
One across the street from you is going up.
Pete's?
No,
Or
the park.
The part, what?
Even,
No,
they're moving out of state. I know.
I
they
love
give you the
Mrs.
option to buy it
Park.
first. They're so wonderful. We're gonna miss them.
oh
I
no,
wanted to find a nice neighbor, but I just couldn't get it done fast enough. And they're not gonna list with me because she's good friends with someone else, so.
oh, I love Mrs.
I know.
Park.
She's in her 80s. They're all moving out of state. Her husband's retiring and. Oh, it's been sad.
What's the other ones?
Well, Pete's gonna sell eventually.
Is he gonna sell
too.
eventually?
They can't get it together quick enough. I mean, So, yeah, and they're settling. And that's a big issue. So that's gonna knock like
Yeah.
50 grand off of each sales price. So
Well, I went in and fixed his leaks. Those were
that
not
was
coming
really-
from the front and from settling. They were coming from cracks in the alley alongside. So I patched all those cracks and got it all
It
dried
was
out.
fixed years ago, apparently. I got to learn that from the parks. I mean, I hate to see the old homeowners leave, because that's how I get to find out anything
Well,
about this
that
place.
raises the potential, those are gonna become rentals.
Yeah,
and I'd hate to
but
see
right
that.
now, we already have such a high rental rate in there. That is something that would be a battle. I mean, I think Chase can rest assured that he's not gonna have a lot of homeowners who are already renting their units out. And it's already in the CCNRs, that it's okay, as long as within 30-day timeframes. I don't care personally. I own my place and I'm happy where I'm at for my place, but
Yeah, me too.
everybody gets to make their own decisions and come into that annual meeting, and they're welcome to come to any of these meetings anytime. And, voice their opinions, and vote, so.
All right, I guess that's the route we have to take. There was, I thought I put it on here. I should wear my glasses. It might help me see better.
Because I know the HOA is responsible for the front yards, but Chase and Daryl, I think, we're gonna be part of the architectural committee. So there has to be some. I mean, if we do go to that route of getting the bid from Jason as far as putting rock in there, does Chase want that? Do you want rock there? I mean, do the homeowners?
I like it grass, keeps the weeds down. It looks better.
So that's my question, is it,
Grass.
the HOA maintains it and everything, but do the homeowners have a say?
Well, that's
They
why I
want
want
people-
us to have that in the annual meeting so that we have this.
Too, but the cost isn't worth it. Bottom line, I mean, I see where the money's going.
Well, I think part of the issue is the systems that we have running aren't running at minimal. They're running at what they've always been at, which they're watering for way too long. You don't read
Not currently, they're not.
No, they've all been reset.
to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably less than that.
I can't even tell you how many times I called and talked to Debbie
Yeah.
and to talk to Tom. I have still.
I changed them on my
That
own.
was a
When I
horrible
was on the board.
experience.
I
We had,
was-
we had sprinklers that were spraying into the street.
I
Well,
have
like
pictures
the
that would send it to
park
I have
Tom.
was
too.
coming on during
Yeah,
the
they
day,
did-
it was
they
coming
just
with
made
waste
them
water.
bad.
Yeah, so based on city ordinance, we cannot water.
Before 6 and after 8 o'clock.
And we're gonna make that if
Well, it should
we
be.
get fined as an HOA, then it's getting
But that's
passed
the
on
thing is,
to the homeowner.
the thing is the city's not coming around that often, and so a sprinkler that's running at, 10 o'clock in the afternoon, it may not get caught for months and months.
Yeah, I will, because
Especially in the
I
park.
get all kinds of little nasty grams in my box,
So
which is gonna bring to another issue.
it's
Green
really
wants it to be,
Up.
he's pushing it this year.
Yeah, he's a big water guy. So I got a nasty gram, unsigned, of course, in my little black box on my door. And apparently you have a tenant that has dogs that are running around without leashes. And they're going in people's garages.
So I have one tenant with one dog.
Okay, well,
That dog is a certified service animal, does not leave her side.
well,
I've never seen. it
I'm just
run off.
telling you what the nasty gram in my
So,
box
we
was.
seen
I
the dog
can,
with
I did get a,
smaller
I did,
dogs.
did get a text today. That said, from one of my tenants. Do you know whose dog that is? It's at our front door, it's barking. So I don't have any
It
tenants
may
that have
not be
dogs.
one of our dogs then that is the
Which
issue.
one? Which one?
So,
Oh, that was sitting up at the rental unit. As I was driving out
so,
in, George Lopez's,
and after this girl does leave,
Huh.
yeah.
I
don't
will
know
not
if it's
allow
like-
any more pets. in my
Yeah.
house. So,
Yeah,
Well,
so
I
there's no
have
such
to-
thing as a certified service animal.
Yeah,
There,
can't
or
deny
a
it.
certified emotional support animal.
it's certified.
It is a
service.
does it provides an actual service? Okay.
And so that's why she actually had it with her parents, because I said she couldn't have it originally. Her parents couldn't keep it anymore, and so I said, but you have 4 months left of your lease. I'll let you have it for
Is that the
that.
Doberman?
And it is, I mean, I wouldn't have allowed it, even though it's service, if it wasn't such well behaved. I
Okay.
mean, that dog,
All I can tell you is the note that I got, unsigned, of course. This dog is coming in our garage. It's in your units. It's one of your renters.
wouldn't have been this dog,
Okay.
positive, so.
Well, it's interesting though that,
I'm up to my front door.
And that
Yeah,
was,
is
it-
that was
Right
just
there.
today
yeah.
that I got that, so. And I've seen other dogs out there before. There was another small dog, 'cause my daughter loves dogs.
Yeah. Oh, I
Whenever
do
she sees a
too.
dog, she's like, can we keep it? And so we've seen multiple dogs. This one I've never seen, but that's,
Is that
you know,
what
so.
Yeah, we got a bunch of I've got a
Huh?
whole litter of stray kittens in my backyard. About 8 weeks old.
It's around there.
Mama apparently dropped them in my backyard under the bush there. So I've had a trap out for a week and they're too light to trigger the trap. I'll look through the window and see them in the trap, but they're not triggering it. So I'm gonna have to do the string.
Bottles and stuff.
Yeah, that's fun. The other issue was, as we look at doing our insurance. I've looked at Chase's roofs. I don't see anything wrong with Chase's roofs.
Well, I'm reshingling the one this summer.
Yeah, yeah. But there's nothing that should prevent us from being insured, which is what State Farm apparently was saying.
Why are they saying, and then there's.
Well,
other
they did that
companies,
to one of
like-
my employees too.
Yeah,
They're coming down on roofs a lot.
I
I'm
got
not surprised.
I got quotes from a couple other companies and none of them were close to what we already are paying.
She did
Travelers is
me-
usually the cheapest for what we are.
When
That's why we
he
got it.
gets his roof reshingled, and if we can, it will save us quite a bit.
Well, the problem is we've got to renew by June 4th.
I know, but we can renew, have coverage, and then we can cancel and get a new policy that saves us a couple $1,000s a month.
This quote that we
Or here.
have is $6,800. That is with increasing the deductible from 5,000 to 25,000.
She
But
put-
it's still $2,000 cheaper than the next quote. Huh?
She said 5,500,
Who?
State Farm agent.
Again, State Farm is notorious for not paying claims.
Well,
I
I
don't know
don't
what they tell you.
I'm
unless they
just
actually
saying
do.
that some people
Yeah.
are offering lesser price, and that's what I learned was that they were looking.
Well, I really wanted a local broker,
But that wouldn't come close, huh?
$2,000 difference. I will make a motion based on that we renew
With the.
with the policy that we already have in McAllister.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
We are increasing it, but it's really not changing as much as
No, and so
we thought it would last week.
with
Or
the SO2 policy. Again, it may go up a few bucks to go from a $5,000 deductible to a $20,000 deductible. For each individual homeowner. But not much. It's not gonna go up hundreds of dollars. It's gonna go up dozens of dollars. To cover that deductible.
Mine is like 15,000 or something anyway, it's only like a 500, but that's my individual policy.
Yeah, so you only need a policy for $25,000. That's all you need to have. The HOA covers rebuild.
Unless I want my valuables covered inside my home that might be destroyed.
Yeah,
It's worth a few bucks.
not thousands.
You don't know what I have in my house.
Well, mine's $400 and I can tell you what I've got in my house. Between camera equipment and firearms. Yeah. Okay, moving on to new business. You want to talk about handicap parking?
Okay, so the handicap parking is gonna be one of those things we have to have it.
I don't know that we do.
I think you do, but there's 2 handicap parking spots that need to be either repainted or
Where?
something in front of his place.
In front of his
Okay, so the corner to the
specific.
there's 2 handicap spots there that are painted and the paint's coming off, but people are parking there and they don't have handicap decals.
Well, that was probably back when it was a nursing home.
So is it not, it cannot
PUD does
not be a
have to
law.
have-
I don't
Does-
know which law it is.
PUD isn't required to have, a PUD is not required to have handicap parking.
I think they probably
They're
are.
not.
I can promise you they're not.
Because handicap stuff is a federal law.
It is ADA if you were
So-
built prior or
It's not
after.
commercial, so if it was
1997.
commercial, you'd have to have it. PUD does not.
And that's Utah law. I
Yeah,
looked that
it's
one
not,
up.
we're not a
'cause I'm
commercial,
learning.
we're a residential.
Yes.
I'll verify, but I'm pretty sure you do not have to have them and I see no reason to have them. We have nobody needing them.
Well, everybody has parking.
They're also
Yeah.
far away from.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that from my experience.
I would
in
be
other
more inclined on a
places-
case by case basis if we had a resident who needed such a thing. To
Yeah.
put one near there, like we did with your
All
red
it
curb.
takes is one of these tenants to be handicapped that moves into one of these rentals.
And then we will accommodate them in any way that we possibly can.
Again, they have nothing to,
Nothing to stand
there's
on.
nothing liable there
Yeah.
because the PUD is not required to have handicap parking.
However, I would not have a problem with providing them dedicated handicap. In fact, I'd be more likely, instead of doing handicap parking, to assign them. To put a big number on it.
So Utah law states that commercial properties.
We're not.
We are not
that- I
commercial.
understand that, but I'm just telling you that anything that was built before 1997. Is
92.
kind of like, they don't have to accommodate, but they're encouraged to. And then everything after that, and that's just the commercial
Right.
businesses.
And it's
things like that.
92, it's the
But
Americans
it's
with
the
Disabilities Act of
residential
92.
units that people live in, so it's a whole different thing,
Yeah, well,
so.
I would be more inclined to paint those, if they're still visible, black, so they're not there anymore. Because I don't see any point in having handicap parking that is so far away from where anybody who needs it can access it. Okay, you're handicapped, you live at the very south end of the complex. Go park by the park.
Downhill.
Yeah,
One's working on a cane, the other one's on oxygen, just an example.
Yeah, but they're still gonna be walking farther than.
I'm not
parking
saying
from-
that that's the right place to have
But you
them.
wanna advocate.
I'm
for-
just saying that there's probably a law that we need to.
Let's find
follow.
out.
there isn't, but if,
That's-
again, if there is a need for that, then I say we take it on a.
Handicaps in a wheelchair,
I
right?
do, that's why we got your curb painted red.
You're welcome.
And why I went and painted it myself, because the city was taking too long. However, I would be more inclined on a case by case basis to look at assigned parking to accommodate the actual needs. Knock yourself out. But I don't see any business here that needs to be done at this time based on
Well,
current
it's
need.
an issue that it needs to be dealt with at the meeting, an annual meeting, so that can be something that everybody can talk about. But let's just get the information and then bring it to the meeting.
And then, of course, watering of lawns. So when are you watering your lawn?
Mine's not on, so.
It's not on at all.
Watering it at night when I can,
So
by
we
hand.
By hand manually?
Yeah, we instructed Jason not to turn it on because we
Right.
were under the impression that he.
And
was
I
gonna
talked to him about
walk
that,
in.
and so that's why I've been watering it by hand,
So we need to.
Will
instruct
you
him to
want that
turn
back
it
on?
yeah.
Okay.
And I can turn it on, but I don't know which one it is, so.
Neither do I. You know which one it
Let's
is?
just ask him, he'll turn it on for
Okay.
you. It's.
Would you reach out to him on that?
I have his key, but where he says, but
Yeah,
I could turn.
so
both
some of
them
those that he
on.
has to stop and waste, like mine or my main.
And I don't know which one it is, and so instead of trying to turn them all on and off, I just figured I'd wait till I see Jason again, but if you guys talked to him before that, that'd be great.
Yeah, he had marked mine as a stop and waste, and it was actually my main
That was me.
one. Oh, that was you who did that?
That was when I
What's
was
that?
So
trying
you
to-
gotta write on it.
Yeah.
So you can see it then.
Well, she painted it though as a stop and
Oh, he
waste,
did,
thinking
he-
it was my,
Yeah.
yeah, no worries.
That he left there for 2 months and that the neighbor kids were taking and.
I'm
sticking
trying to
it
pry the
up
wall
and
down with.
pushing
Well,
into the fence
everybody
and
should have
falling
a
down.
key. I mean, that's your shut off to your house if you're in flood, so I have
Yeah,
my own.
I
key.
have mine. I've always had it. I don't know if that was there from day one or if somebody purchased it or
He
what.
told everybody how
Well,
to-
as preparedness, you should know where your water shut off is and how to shut it off, because if you have a flood and
Well, apparently though, not all of the units have
they don't shut off in front of the
a
house.
main shut off. So that's, but there is a main shut off in the house. So, those panels, however, they're
That's the way
garbage.
it is.
Those distribution panels are all,
If we end
PU
up having to
and-
get collect on a insurance policy, I hope that they'll put in some studs in the right places so we can hang things up and do remodels and have the place.
you mean
built
unlike
properly.
Pete's where it's half
I'd like
cinder
to have
block
all
wall
those
and then
for
half,
the-
and then it goes like this and goes up. Yeah.
The same as it was.
As far as watering of lawns go, has anybody noticed? I noticed ours came on at like 6:30 the other day. So we're in compliance with the law. Have we noticed any backyard?
Backyards are
No one
all
takes
on
care
their
of
hose
that
bid.
but me.
And then I wonder,
By the post or lots of times.
no, not anymore. I wonder if the top, even if you didn't do all gravel, if you just did gravel 6-7 feet and you push those sprinklers, so that way you're not getting any drainage down the road. Cause I've even noticed since those have been turned on, so I'm usually there between 5 and 6:30, so I've seen those come on and we're still getting drainage down the road from
Are you talking about
the south
three
side.
hundred? So we had discussed, and that's where I was saying that if the curb went up a little bit higher, just right there.
Well,
on
I
that
mean, my
corner,
thing,
but
I
we
don't
talked
care.
about putting-
I just-
to me, it's
What
$500
is
to
it?
$700 a month that we pay for residential usage of water, and the rest of that $1,000 is watering of lawns. You look at that in the summer usage versus the winter usage of the numbers.
Well,
and
maybe
it's a little
something
hard.
around 1,000, isn't it?
Well, it's hard because we're actually paying for like 3 months before. But when you consider that, it's about $1,000 a month we're paying for watering lawns. It's between $800 to $1,000 a month to water lawns, and that's stupid to me. When I moved out of Washington DC, I sold my lawnmower, and I've never owned one. That was 18 years ago, and I hope I never own one again. I don't want one. I never want to touch one again.
That's how I mowed the lawns
But-
last year twice and got blisters all over my hands.
But again, I think that is a conversation for the general membership to have.
I'm just thinking if they vote against, gravel, then maybe pavers or something, just push it back so we're not, if there's no potential watering down the road, they can't.
Hitting the sidewalks and coming down the
We
curb cut.
talked about putting a drainage in the center of the lawn and building it up,
Right,
and then
but-
having it go out to the street.
Right, but that's for more like rain, it shouldn't be happening daily, right? That's where you have issues, it get
Just
backed
bring
up
it
or
all
something like
into the
that.
park. It was-
But it would also take out, because if you put the gravel where the drains are.
I'm just saying, even if we have pavers are probably just as cheap as gravel.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we
To
could
do
learn
a
how to
few feet
recycle
back.
the water that's draining off and stick it into the right.
And
places.
I would love to get us on the non-culinary system for the lawns that they use for the cemetery and the ball fields and the,
Recycled water.
yeah, but we can't, not without running pipes.
It's all gonna cost money. It's part of the capital improvement project that's gonna take time. So,
A long time.
and the plumbing will come, well, we wanna fix it, repair the pavement, plumbing's underneath it. So I don't wanna have to keep tearing up pavement every time we have a water line break. And.
Well, that's why I have that guy looking at doing box culverts where the water
Yeah,
lines are. So when vehicles do drive over that, it distributes the weight around that, and if it breaks, we pull up the grate, we fix the pipe. And so,
stick it under the concrete.
is there any other business that I have missed?
I had something to bring up, when he pushed the snow against my building.
Yeah.
There's 3 panels there now that won't connect.
Okay,
Just flapping. I don't know.
get a price for fixing it.
Lighting.
Yeah, we probably should look at that and see what it costs. Because I brought it up to him and talking about it, but not gonna accuse him of anything, Right. He talked about pushing the snow up there first. And I was just like, yeah, you know, it kind of broke those and so anyway, but.
The hard part about all that, he pushes my work. And so we talked to him about different places and he's like, I get desperate. Like,
You can't put something against the building. you just
well,
can't
but
do
where
that.
else can you go, you know, where else can you go with cars? You can't put it behind
Well,
cars.
the problem is if that concrete barrier wasn't there, he would have pushed it right through my wall. That's a problem.
That is a problem, but
But because he pushed the concrete barrier back 8 inches. And that's slowly stopped him.
Happened down there
Is that
before.
thing tacked down with rebar?
It was supposed to be, but
It is
it's
not.
not.
Somebody broke it
It was-
like
it was-
2 years ago.
It was connected in with the asphalt because they just did it
Snow
right with the
removal.
asphalt.
Oh, they just like
So you
glued
can
it
see where it came. the
in?
asphalt, it
No,
broke
that's
out there.
nice.
So-
Has it got holes in the top for
Mhm.
putting rebar through? I can get a
It's
couple
just
pieces of rebar and pound
another
that down.
problem.
How many of them do you have?
Um,
So,
Well, there's supposed to be one per parking stall. I don't know if there's 5 or 6 there.
Okay, well, give me numbers on fixing
lighting.
the siding. That's something I think we should definitely take care of.
Can I mention a new subject?
It's not on the agenda, no.
I know it's. not
Now
on the
what?
agenda. So from a real estate perspective, in the past, when I've been involved in HOAs, there are tenant issues and mostly it's lack of communication from the owner with the tenants. And so what I wanted to do was to motion that the homeowners, when they rent out or they sell or they rent, when there's a change, that they communicate that to us with their
They're actually supposed to do that
contact
already.
information to the tenants, that including their cars that
isn't
they
that in
drive.
the?
That's in the CCNRs. Yeah, they're supposed to communicate that. It doesn't apply to you.
This would be a whole lot of work, because there's so many.
Well, but I'm also there daily.
Yeah, he's kind of the controlling interest of the property regardless of who the renters are,
But
whereas
other
the
properties would be
non-owner
too.
occupied. So that's an issue where like we can't, and I don't want us getting in the middle of a landlord-owner relationship.
True.
I don't want to be communicating with an owner's tenants on issues.
Talk about that.
Yeah,
Well-
so that's why if we have a tenant illegally dumping in the dumpsters and we have to pay for having an extra dump done, and we have to pay the extra fee for oversized items, and we have to pay for the oversized items. I don't want
How do you
us,
know whose tenant that is?
We have.
that's why we have
cameras.
the cameras.
Okay, does the camera take them from the trash can to the house and you know which house?
No,
they're
but-
We
going
have
to?
license plates.
Yeah,
What
we've
is
got, we can see who they are,
It
but
belongs to.
then how do you go after them? But if
Because
we're
you know
going to
who
hold
they-
people responsible, I want holding the owners responsible and they can go after
Agreed.
their tenants.
who the owner, who this tenant belongs to.
Well,
I
you don't
know
have a renter either, so that's where the beauty is.
There's 25 units in there and a good half of them are rentals. And so this problem that we are trying to fix is costing us $300 a year to have those cameras up. And they're not gonna do anything because we can't tell whose tenant goes to who.
Well, the great thing is, since we've put the cameras up, we haven't had a problem.
I am all fine with no work, no extra work. I'm just trying to tell you that if it gets.
You understand that, right? Like if it's your tenant that's putting in a bed,
Well, and they all know that.
so.
Like
we'll go to
when there
you
was a
and you go
report
in.
that one of your tenants had a dog going in people's garages, I didn't go talk to the girl with the dog the other day. I come to you. And that's how I think it should be. There's no way I want to get into that business arrangement that you
But
have.
you don't know
with your
which owner
renters.
to talk to if you don't know who their tenants
Well,
are.
if you don't know who to talk to, then you don't approach it.
I mean, there's
You,
only
there's nothing you
24
can really do.
There's only
Just pay
24
the fee for
units,
people
there's
breaking
22
in. So
units.
I don't know.
You know, there's
They
20
say
units.
mine, you'd see who the person was, you'd see their face, it's a good picture.
It is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you see their
So you
face.
see
We need to replace your batteries, by the way.
See, I didn't know I was replacing, sorry.
No, I need to go over and do it.
And then you'd see them again walking into their
It
house.
doesn't really matter. They all
Well,
call
I
me anyway, and I already get all their new numbers. Cause they wanna know what's going on in the place they live and
There's a website that everybody can put all their
I give that
stuff.
to them. Do you think I'm gonna sit there and tell them everything? I give them the website.
But yeah, I do not want us interfering with that business relationship with those owners and those tenants. It will suck if somebody dumps a couch into the dumpster and we gotta get it dumped and pay the extra large fee and the extra dump, and I come to you and say, Chase, you owe us $500. But you have a person to go after at that point. We can go, here's the guy.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's the homeowners, but I'm just saying, how do you know what homeowner? He's not the only one that has rented.
He's not, but we know pretty much everybody in there.
Yeah, it's not a. I mean, 50
Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's covered.
They do this in the big cities because there's more crime.
We don't
and
live
stuff.
in the big cities, and there's a reason we don't live in the big cities.
Small, friend. In a small community.
Yeah,
small
I grew up in a smaller town.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, these cameras are,
They've covered pretty much, yeah.
they're doing their
All
job.
right, I'll just start flipping you off every time I put my trash in.
Well, actually, the only time I look at them is if we have a problem. I don't just stare at them. If we have a problem, like your mother continually dumping her trash in our dumpster. Cause she doesn't like fish heads in her garbage can. No, God, I hope not. There was something rank in that lower dumpster last week, man. Oh, when I was throwing those trash, the trees,
Yes, there was. and I'm
there
trying
was
to
something
think what the
really
heck was
rank in
it.
there.
I live right close to that thing.
All right, do we have any other issues that have not been covered? I need a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, no, we forgot one thing. When's the next meeting?
Oh,
Let's see. It looks like, come on, give me the month. It looks like June. Hey, come on. Get out of the way. 28th. Does that work for everyone?
Batteries are there.
They're double A's, but we use the lithium ones.
I just had surgery on my back.
No, I can do it. I just
So,
needed to get over there and do it.
all the time. I went to Indianapolis one time during the week when you guys had business, but I am home and I'm actually home, because I have two homes. And I.
You're always home.
Yeah, I know. I
Does the
wish you could
28th
say
at 7
something.
PM work for everybody?
June 28th.
Yep.
7 PM. Yep. I don't know when people are home all the time. I only know whenever I drive through. If we're home, sometimes I'm in my house.
You're gone a lot more than I am.
Probably not these
No, there's no
days.
doubt.
Well, I'm-
always.
I'm busy.
Okay, and we have nobody attend via Zoom.
Me too, but I'm